She was both the face of 60s sex appeal and the target of FBI surveillance. Loved by millions and loathed by just as many, Jane Fonda's life is a story of extremes. But how did Jane Fonda go from America's sweetheart to one of Hollywood's most controversial figures? This video reveals the full transformation of Jane Fonda, from movie icon to radical activist to fitness queen and beyond. Jane Seymour Fonda was born on December 21, 1937 in New York City into Hollywood royalty. Her father, Henry Fonda, was one of the most well-dignified actors of his generation. But behind the curtain of entitlement, Jane's early life was horrifying. Her mother, Frances Ford Seymour, died by suicide when Jane was just 12. That loss, paired with a distant relationship with her father, left Jane searching for identity, meaning, and eventually a voice of her own. Despite these challenges, her path seemed clear: follow in her father's footsteps. She began studying acting under the legendary Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio, honing her craft and quickly making a name for herself in the late 1950s and early 1960s. Her early roles often played on her youthful charm and undeniable allure, establishing her as a rising star. Films like Tall Story and Period of Adjustment showcased her talent and cemented her image as a fresh, captivating presence in Hollywood. She was America's sweetheart, seemingly untouched by the growing unrest simmering beneath the surface of the nation. The late 60s cemented her image as a sex symbol, especially after starring in Barbarella, 1968, a sci-fi film directed by her then-husband, Roger Vadim. Jane was a pop culture icon who was beautiful, charming, and desirable. But she hated the tag. Underneath the surface of her Hollywood allure, Fonda felt unfulfilled and angry. She later admitted to suffering from bulimia, low self-esteem, and a gnawing sense that her beauty was being used to sell an empty image. Jane Fonda also began to feel an increasing sense of responsibility during this time period. And so, she began to change. She started engaging with activists and intellectuals, absorbing new perspectives that diverged sharply from the mainstream narrative. The glamour that had defined her early career now felt increasingly at odds with the tumultuous reality of the world. Her growing unease wasn't just a personal awakening. It was a precursor to a public shift that would redefine her legacy. Jane Fonda was no longer content being Hollywood's charming sweetheart. She craved depth, purpose, and roles that challenged both her and the audience. In 1971, she stunned critics by winning her first Academy Award for Clute, portraying a complex, fearless character that shattered her earlier image. Off-screen, her voice grew louder because she was no longer just an actress, but a woman awakening to the power of conviction. This was the turning point, the spark that would soon set her on a collision course with America itself. Vietnam War controversy. Jane Fonda's transformation from Hollywood darling to outspoken activist had only just begun. The woman who once lived in the shadows of fame was now unafraid to step into the fire. In the early 1970s, the Vietnam War was raging. Protests erupted across America, but few celebrities dared to step into the chaos. Jane Fonda did so boldly and loudly. What ignited her passionate commitment to the anti-war movement, and how did her beauty, once her greatest asset, become a target of intense scrutiny and national fury? During her visit, Fonda toured bombed hospitals, spoke on Vietnamese radio, and met with American POWs. But the moment that ignited national fury was a single photograph. Jane Fonda sitting on a North Vietnamese anti-aircraft gun, laughing. That image went viral, decades before viral was even a thing. This single image, circulated wildly, was perceived by many Americans, especially veterans and their families, as an act of treason. It was seen as an endorsement of the enemy and a betrayal of American soldiers fighting overseas. The backlash was immediate and fierce. Calls for her prosecution as a traitor flooded the airwaves and newspapers. Her films were boycotted, and her career faced immense jeopardy. This controversy wasn't just about her political views, it was about her perceived allegiance and the emotional wounds of a nation divided by war. The beautiful movie star had become public enemy number one for many, her image irrevocably stained by her actions. That single photograph of Jane Fonda on a North Vietnamese anti-aircraft gun became the scarlet letter of her career, which was an image burned into America's collective memory as a symbol of betrayal. Though she insisted it was a mistake and apologized, the damage was irreversible. Veterans called her a traitor, movie theaters boycotted her films, and her once untouchable career teetered on the edge of collapse. For decades, Hanoi Jane overshadowed her beauty, her talent, and even her humanity. It wasn't just a scandal, it was the defining wound of her public life, one she would spend a lifetime trying to atone for but never fully erase. Redemption arc. After the intense backlash from her Vietnam War activism, many believed Jane Fonda's career was virtually over. Her beauty and talent seemed to be overshadowed by the deep-rooted anger she had provoked. But Jane Fonda was not one to fade away. How did she manage to not only resurrect her career, but also redefine her public image, all while continuing to champion causes she believed in? Despite the widespread condemnation, Jane Fonda gradually began to revamp her career in the late 1970s. She strategically chose roles that resonated with her evolving personal and political convictions. Films like Coming Home, 1978, where she played a woman whose husband returns from Vietnam paralyzed, directly addressed the war's impact and earned her an Academy Award for Best Actress. This was followed by The China Syndrome, 1979, a thriller about a nuclear power plant cover-up, which coincidentally premiered just days before the 3 Mile Island accident, further solidifying her image as an actress with a social conscience. Then came 9 to 5, 1980, a comedic hit that tackled workplace sexism, which became an anthem for working women. These films not only showcased her enduring talent, but also allowed her to subtly integrate her activism into her artistic work, slowly winning back a portion of the public. But it wasn't just her film roles that marked her comeback. It was also an unexpected venture that would once again put her in the national spotlight. Fitness. In 1982, Jane Fonda released Jane Fonda's Workout, a groundbreaking aerobics video that became a massive phenomenon. This pivot was brilliant in its simplicity. It appealed to a broad demographic, transcended political divides, and allowed her to leverage her undeniable physical presence in a positive, empowering way. However, even this success wasn't without its underlying tension. For many, the memory of her anti-war actions lingered, creating a cognitive dissonance. How could the same woman who seemingly betrayed her country now be so widely embraced as a symbol of health and vitality? It was a slow, arduous process of attempting to shift public perception, proving that even with widespread popularity, certain controversies are incredibly difficult to fully shed. Therefore, Jane Fonda's late 1970s and 1980s comeback was proof of her resilience and strategic brilliance. By carefully selecting socially relevant film roles and then launching a hugely successful fitness empire, she managed to not only revive her career, but also begin to reclaim her narrative from the Hanoi Jane controversy. This period showcased her ability to adapt and connect with new audiences, demonstrating that her influence extended far beyond political protest, even as the echoes of her past continued to shape how she was perceived. The enduring legacy. From a polarizing figure of the Vietnam era to a fitness mogul, Jane Fonda's journey has been anything but conventional. How has she, in her later years, continued to evolve, using her enduring beauty and platform to advocate for new causes, all while addressing the complicated legacy of her past? In the decades since her fitness tape took off, Jane Fonda has continued to act, star in successful television shows like Grace and Frankie, and remain a cheerful presence in Hollywood. But perhaps more significantly, she has continued her unwavering dedication to activism, adapting her focus to contemporary issues. In recent years, she has become a vocal and prominent advocate for climate change action, participating in Fire Drill Fridays in Washington, D.C., where she organized weekly protests and even faced arrest multiple times. This renewed engagement in high-profile direct action has reminded the public of her lifelong dedication to social justice. But even as she champions critical new causes, the ghost of Hanoi Jane creeps up on her every now and then. Despite her repeated apologies and explanations for her actions in Vietnam, particularly for the anti-aircraft gun photograph, many veterans and their families still won't forgive her. The controversy remains a deeply painful part of American history for those affected by the war, and for them, Fonda represents an intense betrayal. She has often expressed profound guilt, stating she deeply regrets any pain she caused to servicemen and their families. However, the intensity of the initial reaction and the lasting emotional scars mean that true reconciliation with all segments of the public remains elusive. This ongoing tension highlights the indelible mark that political actions can leave on a public figure's reputation, demonstrating that even decades later, some wounds are slow to heal. It underscores the lasting polarization that surrounds her, making her a figure of both immense admiration and persistent condemnation. From the golden girl of Hollywood to a fiery anti-war activist, and then to a fitness guru, Jane Fonda's journey is a testament to a life lived boldly and without apology. Her beauty, initially her ticket to stardom, ultimately became a conduit for both adoration and outrage. She challenged what it meant to be a celebrity, demonstrating that fame could be a powerful tool for social change, even if it meant becoming one of the most polarizing figures of her time. Jane Fonda's legacy is a complex blend of her stunning talent, captivating beauty, and relentless commitment to activism. She is an icon who has consistently challenged norms, often at great personal cost. She remains a polarizing figure, admired for her resilience and dedication to justice, yet still criticized for her past actions, embodying the multifaceted and often contradictory nature of celebrity in a deeply divided society. If you liked this video, make sure to watch other videos of our channel about beautiful ladies of yesteryear.